the show that explores a variety of topics and timely issues for making successful mid to late career transitions with a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment for the next phase of your career and life, regardless of your age. Now, here's your host, Lisa Downs.
Welcome to Reigniting You, where we talk all things career transition for those age 40 plus. I'm Lisa Downs, Seattle-based career and retirement transition coach. So glad to be here with you today, and our producer, Eric. Hey, Eric, how's it going today?
Good afternoon. It's going pretty well. It's a beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest.
That it is.
I feel like it's always a beautiful day when we do the show on Wednesday. Something about Wednesdays,
Something about
I guess.
Wednesdays. We look out with the weather, I think.
We'll see come November if that's still the case.
In a couple months, we'll check in with each other, and it'll probably be miserable and terrible. But there we go. But for now, we're happy.
Absolutely. And even if it's a gnarly day outside, we always have a great show. So
we do.
Reason to be excited.
Yeah, another great show ready for you today. My guest is LinkedIn strategist, trainer, and coach Teddy Burriss, who's here to help me answer our career transition question of the month. And I'll introduce Teddy right after this quick break.
Are you feeling challenged or frustrated without a plan for what's next in your career and life? Are you seeing writings on the wall for needing to make a mid to late career change and don't know how or what to do? Coach Lisa Downs of New Aspect Coaching can guide you to what's next, providing a fresh perspective and supporting you to create a clear and compelling vision for your future and a plan to move forward. Call Lisa at 425-216-3015. That's 425-216-3015. New Aspect Coaching, fresh perspectives for your career.
Hi, I'm Coach Debbie from Story You Talk Radio, and I want to encourage you to write your book. Weekly, I offer topics about style and storytelling. I take your questions on our live show every Thursday at 4 o'clock, or you can subscribe to Story You, that's capital U, on any of your favorite platforms.
Want to hear something different from talk radio? Keep your dial on Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Reigniting You, the show that focuses on mid to late career transitions for those age 40 plus. I'm your host, Lisa Downs. Hey, a note that in case you missed it here on KKNW, that you can catch Voices of Experience with host Paul Casey this Sunday at 9 o'clock a.m. on KIXI. Voices shines a light on people with experience in their fields of travel, public affairs, adventure, health, and fitness, with an emphasis on sustaining your own business. That's Voices of Experience this Sunday at 9 a.m. on AM 880 KIXI. I'm excited to introduce today's guest, Teddy Burriss. Since early 2010, Teddy has been delivering LinkedIn training and coaching programs for business professionals, guiding them with the best practices and tactics of using LinkedIn as a business tool. Teddy uses strategic planning sessions, corporate training and coaching programs, public speeches, virtual workshops, and one-on-one coaching to help his clients in diverse industries master using LinkedIn as a business tool. Teddy uses his Toastmaster, Sandler training, Dale Carnegie coaching, DDI leadership facilitator skills, networking skills, certified social media strategist credential, and long-term business experience to lead people in the best uses of LinkedIn and other social media tools. Hi, Teddy. Welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Lisa, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. And, I always like to kick things off with guests to find out more about your background and your own career path. So what's the story of what's led you to your current work?
So, Lisa, after I left the company that I worked for way back where I picked up trash in the morning and delivered caskets in the afternoon, true story. I transitioned into the technology world and spent a fair number of decades in the technology world before I started thinking about, there's new things that I can be doing and new things that I could be learning and new stuff that I could be helping people with. And somewhere along the way, I bumped into two things. I bumped into social media and I bumped into career transition. became an outplacement coach working for some outplacement firms. And then that was all, sideline work. As I was wrapping up my technology career, but I really started playing with LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and blogging. And I'm like, this stuff is cool. And I really started enjoying that whole world of social media. And somewhere along the way, I had a conversation with someone, and they said, you should go teach people how to do this because you eat, drink, and sleep it all day long. And so when I heard those words, you should go teach people how to do it, I started asking other people for ideas. And then other people started saying to me, well, Teddy, you love to run your mouth. Why don't you become a public speaker? And you can speak about this social media stuff. And then again, more and more conversations, and it started making sense to me. Here was a brand new phase of my career, becoming a public speaker, a trainer, a coach, all in an area in 2009 that most people didn't understand, because at that point, LinkedIn was only 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I made the leap in 2010, and I'll tell you, and this, I am having the time of my life.
That's great. Very fun. And a far cry from delivering caskets. I think that's the first that I've ever heard anyone have that profession.
Picked up trash in the morning, by the way, with the trash truck.
With the trash truck, yeah. And then caskets in the afternoon.
And I have no videos or pictures.
Oh, well, that's a shame. Darn it. And so Teddy, with that and picking up all the tools and the social media familiarity and just making those different changes and transitions throughout, what have been some particularly valuable lessons that you've learned along the way?
Oh my golly, we don't have enough time. So a couple things really come to mind. You can't be an expert at something just by reading a book. Mm-hmm. You can't take a course and get certified as a social media strategist or certified as a career transition specialist and really become good at it. Those are that's just the start. In order to be really good at what you want to be doing, you have to practice. You have to experiment. I tell people that I get paid $1 million a year in my mind to break LinkedIn, to try to figure out what is it doing and how you can do it better and what could you be doing differently than other people. So that's probably the most important lesson I've learned along the way, is that I've got to be learning this stuff, learning the new stuff every day. Because if there's anybody who's using social media today who doesn't think it changed yesterday, you weren't on it yesterday, because it changes every day.
Yeah.
So practicing and experimenting and learning every day is probably the biggest thing I've learned along the way in the context of being a social media strategist. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of other things that I've learned along the way as well. That is, I can't do it alone.
Yeah.
I need a tribe. I need a family that, that I go with. And so I've created alliances with people who are globally, who become, personal friends, who we play in the same sandbox with the same toys together. And that has been really rewarding for me in lots of ways, is to build a tribe around this space so we can learn together. Those are probably two really important ones. There's a bunch of others, Lisa. If you want me to, I'll write the book.
Well, that's great. And just thinking about, that piece of having a group of people and, those who you consider to be great colleagues, what else in addition to that has been particularly helpful to you in times of change and transition in your life?
Oh, Lordy. So, change and transitions in my life isn't just the ones that I decided to make. Mm-hmm. Those are hard enough to script out and execute, the self-defined changes. But you also have to pay attention to the changes that happen to you that you don't expect and you didn't see. that maybe other things influenced.
Yeah.
And so, wow, I studied a dead guy. You may know who this dead guy is. He wrote a bunch of books. He wrote one book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And he wrote another book called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. Mm-hmm. And so let me play with that one for a minute. Tough times, change, and challenges. I had the book on my shelf right here. The dude's name, and I'm being funny, but the gentleman's name, who I totally respect for his writings and his philosophies, is a guy by the name of Dale Carnegie. And I'm hoping most people 40 plus know who Dale Carnegie is. Mm-hmm. And in the book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, there were two really profound philosophies that I grasped from that book. The first one was accept that the worst possible thing could happen. I think there's a period there. And then the next sentence is that Dale Carnegie wrote is, and then do everything in your power not for it to happen. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not comfortable with accept the worst thing that can happen and put all your energy at doing what you can to keep it from happening. I kind of wanted a safety net. And I think in the book, Dale Carnegie says, don't go for a safety net, but I wasn't comfortable with that. So I had to come up with a safety net. So I rewrote his statement, accept that the worst possible thing can happen, and then do everything in your power not to let it happen. And if the worst, and then I said to myself, well, the worst case scenario, if I take this leap to start this business, what could happen? I could lose it all. I could lose it all. I could lose my $63 million that's in my mind portfolio, lose my home, lose all my money. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to do everything in my power not to let that happen, but I want my safety net. So what I did was I called on my 4 daughters and I said, look, if I go on this journey and I totally fail, do you have an extra bedroom? And 3 of the 4 said, we got you covered, Dad.
That's great. Very cool. Such a great
philosophy, yes. And with the satire and applied was a big part of it. Accept the worst thing that can happen and put all your energy at not letting it happen.
That's great. Thank you. I was going to say, sorry, Teddy, I need to, we do have to take our next break, but, okay. I so appreciate that and your insights there. So when we come back, Teddy and I will answer the career transition question of the month for September. Hi, I'm Lisa Downs, career and retirement transition coach and host of Reigniting You on KKNW. I guide age 40-plus professionals to gain clarity, a renewed sense of purpose, and a career transition plan within 90 days so you can lead a fulfilling life regardless of your age. No longer does change have to mean riding off into the proverbial sunset. Let's talk about what your next phase of life can look like. Visit yournewaspect.com or call me at 425-216-3015. That's 425-216-3015. New Aspect Coaching. Fresh perspectives for your career.
This is Rob Bass, and I want you to tune in to Don't Ask Me to Talk with Stacey Heller, the show that brings joy from pain, sunshine where it rains. Don't Ask Me to Talk with Stacey Heller. And that's coming from me, Mr. It Takes Two, Rob Bass. Tune in.
Do what Rob Bass says. Take a listen to Don't Ask Me to Talk with Stacey Heller. That's me, Tuesdays from 3 to 4 on KKNW. To find out more information, check out my website, staceyconnects.com, or text DAMTT to 55678.
Hi, I'm Nathan Mumm, host of Tech Time Radio with Nathan Mumm on KKNW. Tech Time Radio's live show is Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. And you can always check us on the web at techtimeradio.com. Our segmented stylized radio gives you the breaking news before it hits mainstream media. Join myself and Mike Corday as we'll make you laugh.
That's good. So, Hooked on Phonics worked for you, didn't it?
It did, just a little bit. And learning something new in technology. Join us Saturdays 4 to 6 p.m. and Thursdays from 6 to 7 a.m. The technology show for the everyday common person.
Have a career transition related question or want to share your best or worst job story? Call 360-436-6496. That's 360-436-6496. Just leave a voicemail and we'll answer your question or share your story on a future show. Stay tuned for more Reigniting You with Lisa Downs.
Welcome back to Reigniting You, the show that discusses timely issues and topics about career transitions for Gen Xers and Boomers. I'm your host, Lisa Downs. A reminder that if you'd like to get in touch, you can head on over to my website, yournewaspect.com. There you can sign up for my free weekly career transition tips newsletter, as well as download and take my free career transition readiness quiz. And if you go to services and group programs, you can register for my upcoming workshop at the end of this month on September 28th about making encore career transitions. So we're here with LinkedIn strategist, trainer, and coach Teddy Burriss. So Teddy, let's go ahead and jump back into our conversation. Our career transition question of the month is, I don't seem to be getting responses when applying to roles on the online job boards. What am I doing wrong? So what's your take on that for our listeners?
So a lot of people don't like my take on this, but I'm standing true to it because I know it's right. And number one is I often tell people, stop applying for jobs. Stop going to job boards and creating searches and getting the dozen emails that list of 20 or 30 jobs that 99.9% of them are totally irrelevant to you, but yet they look close enough to you that you jump on them and you apply. That's what's happening, is that you're throwing your resume into a bucket through an applicant tracking system to someone who doesn't know you from Adam's house cat. And that's really the worst way in 2021, actually in 2015, and today it's the worst way to apply for a job. You're following the systems that others have created and you have no control over. Yeah. If you want to be a little different and a little better, and if you want a better opportunity to have a conversation about a job, don't start with applying. Start with finding someone that you know or you can get to know who knows someone in that organization that can get you a conversation. Because at the end of the day, actually at the beginning of the day, it all starts with a conversation. It doesn't all start with an application. Yeah. So what are we doing wrong when we're not getting responses from people when we're applying? Is that we're simply applying and we're not investing a little bit more time and a little bit more energy to get into the right conversation with someone before we apply.
And that note around conversations, so what are your recommendations for how someone could really leverage LinkedIn for networking to make connections beyond just, having a profile and sending out some connection invites?
Yeah, at least in the context of I'm looking for a job, you have your, hopefully everybody's looking for a job. They have a list of 25 companies that they're highly interested in. That's important to know a space, an environment that interests you, that looks intriguing and may hire the kind of people that you are. So having that target list of companies, then you can go to LinkedIn and you can find the people, maybe not exactly, but you can get close to finding the people who work in those companies that you may want to have a conversation with. So once you discover the people in those companies, then the next big step, and this is work, which by the way, success takes work. Once you know the company, know the people in the company you want to talk with, then the next step is to find someone that you know who can introduce you to that person. And LinkedIn makes this really easy to do because most people are on LinkedIn in these organizations and they connect. And so the more you connect, the easier it is for you to connect with someone who may know that person that you want to have a conversation with. So look at LinkedIn and look at who's connected to who, and look at the person that you want to have a conversation with and see who you know that knows them and work to make those connections happen. And that will give you a far greater result.
That's great. And, when it comes to finding out more about organizations, so say, I'm in job search and I'm not quite sure, I may have heard of some companies or not quite sure what the organizations are in the industry that's of interest. How can people use LinkedIn to find out more about organizations and the types of roles that are there?
Yeah, Lisa, this is a big task in career transition for those who want to achieve a better result than simply applying for jobs and hoping and praying. And we set ourselves up for a job to be interviewed. We want to get to an interview so they discover more about us, and so that they maybe consider us a viable candidate. We'll spin that around. What you should do if you're researching companies is you should interview the company. Mm-hmm. This is not read their about section. This is not read their mission statement. This is not read their historical statements on their website. Find people who work in those companies and interview them. Get into a conversation with them and ask them about culture. Ask them about experiences. Ask them about growth. Find out from the people who work in those companies what they think about working there. And don't just ask one person, because one person may have a bad experience, but ask a couple different people. Do your research through people. Do your research through conversations with people, and you'll be far better off at understanding more about these organizations. So you'll know whether or not you do or you don't want to take an interview with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's such an important point, is that, I always liken it to the dating process. So, it's not just a one-way street. It's not just about being interviewed by an interview panel or hiring manager or recruiter, but totally agree. It's also about your fit with the organization too and what you're looking for. So I love that idea of that you interview people working for the organization, because as you said, people will have different stories and different perspectives, and you can't always believe, what's in the company reviews out on a site like Glassdoor or Indeed or something like that. Sometimes you get a lot of sour grapes folks on those sites too. So I think that's great to approach it from that interview perspective.
Yeah, and you can interview current and prior employees. Mm-hmm. So you'll get a really interesting picture if you interview 2 or 3 different people.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah. And then, from your perspective, how else do you think that those looking for a new role, new opportunity can gain better clarity on what it is they want to do next and the road they want to go down?
Oh, this is probably the most important step of any career transition, is where do I want to go? Yeah. And most people lean towards going back in the role that they used to be in. Yeah. And that may not be the most rewarding role for them to look at. In what was it, 1999, 2000, I started a journey of figuring out what it is I really wanted to do. And I started having open conversations with people who know me. And I actually created a YouTube video. It's called Dream Out Loud, Share Your Dreams with Dream Out Loud, Share Your Dreams with Strangers. Okay. And this is all about dreaming about what it is that you really want to do. And there's a big process around that, but it's all about, visualizing and visualizing yourself doing something way different. And then second step is getting into conversations with people and getting them to share what they perceive would be of interest to you. Don't feed them ideas, just listen to their ideas. And you got to have a lot of conversations with a lot of people who know you for them to share with you an idea that you haven't thought about yet. So you take their ideas and you put that on your list of things to consider. And then you talk with people who do the things that have come up, and you discover ideas about what is a social media strategist, what is a social media community manager, what is a trainer, what is a public speaker in the context of me. But it's these conversations, these ideas, this dreaming that really helps you come up with an idea of something you've never thought about. that may be way more rewarding, way more enjoyable than you've ever imagined before. If you skip this step, you'll stay on the journey you've always been in. It might be fulfilling or it might not be.
Yeah, it's so important. Great point to make. And yeah, so often we just want to, what we think of is in our own little box of what we've always done. And, sometimes when I'm working with someone, one of the first things they want to do is send me their resume. And so often I'll say, well, I don't need your resume. It's not about your past. The resume tells me what you've done before, which is great, but, we're focused on your future. So, how can you let that go? But I think that's wonderful advice. And so, Teddy, last question is, how can people find you if they'd like to get in touch?
Oh, Lordy. If people can't easily find me with one word, then I've failed myself. I tell people, just Google TL Burriss, and that's TLBURRISS. Teddy Burriss, Google that. You'll find me on LinkedIn, Quora, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. You won't find me on Tinder. I have my own websites are out there. And I offer this to anybody. If you find me and you want to know more about me, follow me. Follow me on all of those different sites. Send me a message and say hi. If I can help anyone in some meaningful way in their career journey, I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Teddy, for being here. We really appreciate it. Great talking with you and really appreciate your advice and recommendations.
Great. Lisa, you have a fantastic day. Thank you.
You too. Thanks so much. And it's time to wrap up today's show. And that means it's also time for my Reignition recommendation, your weekly career transition tip, regardless of your age. And that's to look outward beyond your inner circle for your next opportunity. So if you find that your networking professionally consists of people you work with, and that's about it, it's time to broaden those horizons. So who can you reach out to, find information about, do some investigating in terms of broadening your network with those outside of your inner circle, or who do they know who they could introduce you to? And just a reminder that if you'd like to get in touch, go to yournewaspect.com. That's my website where you can take my free career transition readiness quiz and sign up to receive my weekly Career Tips e-newsletter. And if you go to Services and Group Programs, you can check out the information about a workshop I'm offering at the end of the month, all about Encore career transitions. Well, Eric, thanks for your support today, as always. So what stood out to you from our conversation with Teddy?
Well, lots of great tips, and I happen to know somebody that's looking for a new position right now, so I think I'm going to have to forward this show on to them because lots of great stuff that I wouldn't necessarily have thought about, like not applying for a job. That's a mind blower, I think.
Yeah, I think that's great too. Well, thanks so much, and join us next week when it's time once again for our monthly Ask Lisa episode. To submit a career transition question for me to answer on the air, you can email me at reignitingyou@gmail.com or leave a voicemail at 360-436-6496. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week on Reigniting You.